Today guys, we're gonna talk about the marine environment, major sources of marine pollution, and its effects to humans, animals, and shipping industry. Third is about MARPO Convention or International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships of 1973 and 1978. But before anything else, I'm Meljorin Layese, and this video is for educational purposes only. Marine environment. What is marine environment? Marine environment means the sea, the coast, the beach, the water masses, and the environmental resources. Environmental resources means the naturally occurring or natural, biotic, and abiotic, which can include one or more species, biotopes, and habitats of marine environment. This also includes the water of high seas, the contagious zone, the transitional and antitidal areas, and wetlands within the coastal zones. Marine pollution. We all know that the world is covered with 70% of water, which is the ocean water. And on the ocean water, where the marine industry lives, where the transport, the shipping, and everything that is related to marine industry moves on the ocean. And marine pollution is one of the biggest problems in the shipping industry or the marine industry, and not just to the marine industry but to the people and to the animals living on the ocean. So what are the main sources of marine pollution? But before anything else, let's define what is a pollution. A pollution is any inconvenience or damage caused by human activities to humans, plants, animals, and to our environment as a whole by spreading compounds of air, water, or land. What are the main sources of marine pollution? There are two main sources of marine pollution, from the land-based sources and from the shipping and maritime sources. And from the land-based sources, there are many contributors of marine pollution, such as the byproducts of industry, runoff from agricultural pesticides and herbicides, effluents discharged from the urban areas. And one of the biggest contributors of marine pollution from land-based sources are the plastics. The plastics that from our waste of humans or from the packagings of different products. So we all know that plastics live in hundreds of years. Even though if it is soaked in water, it does not decay in a very short span of time. So it can float or it will go to the different sides of the ocean, and it may damage the reefs or the marine life. So from the shipping and maritime industry, there are many different contributors of marine pollution, such as from the collision, grounding, operational discharges, tank washing, ballasting and deballasting, and docking. One of the biggest contributors of marine pollution from the shipping and maritime industry is from collisions. From the collisions, because there are very big possibilities that it may cause a lot of oil spills, and also from grounding. So what are the impacts or effects of marine pollutions to humans? To humans, we all know that the sea is one of the sources of livelihood, especially from the fishermen. And also, the seafoods is one of the main sources of our food that we eat every day. So because of the marine pollution, it hinders or it affects the marine life due to the different chemicals, and it may cause toxic. And also, it may damage the reefs, which serves as the home or serves as the shelter of the fishes that we eat, or one of the main sources of our food. So to the animals, it may cause fish kills, or even they can eat plastics that is floating on the ocean, and it may cause severe damage to marine life or even death. What are the effects of marine pollution to marine industry or maritime industry? The maritime industry is run by people. So if the people is being affected of the marine pollution because one of the, as we all know, the one of the sources of the food that we eat is from the seas, which is the seafoods. So there are health concerns that may affect, or there are health problems that may affect the people who is running the maritime industry or running the ships of the different ships of maritime companies. And if that happened, the maritime industry will be go down, or there are a lot of seafarers that will be affected due to health problems because of the different effects or the toxic that is came from the food we eat that is from the ocean, that and the ocean is being infected or have a marine pollution already. Now let's talk about the MARPOL Convention, or the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships of 1973 and 1978, and also its history when it was adopted, entered into force, and its objective, including the different annexes of the MARPOL Convention, the 6 annexes. The MARPOL Convention has an objective is to preserve the marine environment through the complete elimination of pollution by oil and other harmful substances and the minimization of accidental discharge of such substances. The original MARPOL Convention was signed on 17th of February 1973 but did not come into force. The current convention is a combination of the 1973 Convention and the 1978 Protocol. It entered into force on October 2, 1983. As of December 2005, 136 countries representing 98% of the world's shipping tonnage are parties to the convention. In 1973, IMO adopted International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships on MARPOL, or the MARPOL 73, and incorporated with the oil poll of 1954 in response to Corey Canyon incident. In 1978, IMO held conference of the TSPP, or the Tanker Safety and Pollution Prevention, and it includes the tanker design and operation in response in the two tanker incident of 1976 and 1977, which is the Orcoila and the Hawaiian Patriot. Now let's talk about the different annexes of the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, or the MARPOL. First, the Annex 1. Annex 1 is the regulation for the prevention of pollution by oil. It entered into force on October 2, 1983. It covers the prevention of oil by operational measures as well as the accidental discharges. In 1992 amendments to Annex 1 made it a mandatory for the new oil tankers to have double hulls and brought into a phase-in schedule for existing tankers to fit double hulls, which was subsequently revised in 2001 and 2003. Next is the Annex 2. Annex 2 states that it is the regulation for the control of pollution by noxious liquid substances in bulk. It entered on force on October 2, 1983. Details the discharges, criteria, and measures for the control of pollution by noxious liquid substances carried by bulk. Some 250 substances were evaluated and included in the list appended for the convention. The discharge of their residues is allowed only to reception facilities until certain concentrations and conditions are complied with. In any case, no discharge of residues containing noxious substance is permitted within 12 miles of the nearest land. Next is the Annex 3, Prevention of Pollution by Harmful Substances Carried by Sea in Package Form. It entered into force on July 1, 1992. Contains general requirements for the issuing of detailed standards on packing, marking, labeling, documentation, stowage, and quantity limitations, exceptions, and notifications. For the purpose of this annex, the harmful substances are those substances which are identified as marine pollutants in the International Maritime Dangerous Code, or the IMDG Code. Next is the Annex 4, the Prevention of Pollution by Sewage from Ships. It entered into force on September 27, 2003. It contains requirements to control the pollution of the sea by sewage. The discharge of sewage into the sea is prohibited, except when the ship is in operation an approved sewage treatment plant, or when the ship is discharging disinfected sewage using an approved system at a distance of more than 3 nautical miles from the nearest land. Sewage which is not communicated or disinfected has to be discharged at a distance of more than 12 nautical miles of the nearest land. Next is the Annex 5. Prevention of the pollution of garbage from ships or from. Next is the Annex 5. Prevention of pollution by garbage from ships. It entered into force on December 31, 1988. Deals with the different types of garbage and specifies the distances from land and the manner in which they may be disposed of. The most important feature of this annex is the complete ban of imposed on the disposal into the sea of all forms of plastics. Next is the Annex 6. Prevention of air pollution from ships. Entered into force on May 19, 2005. Set limits of sulfur oxides and nitrogen oxide emissions from ship exhaust and prohibits deliberate emissions of ozone-depleting substances. Designated emission control areas set more stringent. Next is the Annex 6, the Prevention of Air Pollution from Ships. It entered into force on May 19, 2005. Next is the Annex 6, the Prevention of Air Pollution from Ships. It entered into force on May 19, 2005. Sets limits of sulfur oxide and nitrogen oxide emissions from ships' exhaust and prohibits deliberate emissions of ozone-depleting substances. Designated emission control areas set more standards for SOx or NOx, or the sulfur oxide and the nitrogen oxide and particulate matter. The chapter adopted in 2011 covers mandatory technical and operational energy efficiency measures aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions from ships. So that will be all. Thank you for watching and see you on my next educational purposes videos.